All right, first I'd like to thank you all for coming out and being a part of our Assembly Production Engineering Tool and Torque QC Circle. Our QC Circle name is Torque Flow. Our QCC theme name is the Containers. Our theme members are Advisor Alex Doe, our leader Homer Register, our co-leader Stephen Wood, our scribe Amanda, our timekeeper Eddie, our gatekeeper Marie, our members Dennis, Esther, Gus, Izzy, David, and Eric. Our ground rules are 1, be on time, 2, stay on track, 3, be respectful, 4, respect others' opinions and ideas, 5, no phones, number 6, no arguing. The first step we had was clarify the problem, reduce the potential safety risk for Torque team members while performing their processes. The ideal situation is 0 safety occurrences. Our current situation is 2 safety occurrences in the same day with a gap of 2 safety occurrences. The number of Torque team safety occurrences for 2021 was a current 2 with the ideal of 0 with a gap of 2. Next, I'd like to hand it over to Amanda.
Thank you, Stephen. Step number 2 is breaking down the problem. Assembly Torque Team 2021 safety incidents at 2. All other issues 0. Knuckle assembly falls off skillet during torque checks is 2. Tundra 0. Tacoma we had a quantity of 2. 4x4 0. 4x2 a quantity of 2. Lower ball joint torque check 0. Castle nut torque check 2. Torque team member prepares for torque check. Torque team member notifies team member that they are going to check the next truck's castle nuts. Team member shoots castle nut, leaves castle nut to have its torque checked by torque team member. Torque team member checks castle nut, then checks to see if castle nut is lined up for cotter pin. Our point of occurrence is if castle nut is not lined up to accept cotter pin, torque team member toggles castle nut. Torque team member leaves castle nut ready to accept cotter pin. Process team member finishes standardized work. Our first picture up here is the picture of a castle nut. This second picture is a castle nut not lined up, needs to be toggled. Our third picture is the castle nut lined up perfectly for a cotter pin. Prioritize problem at point of occurrence. 2 knuckle assemblies fell on Tacoma 4x2 during the castle nut toggle step. On the next slide, we'll have a video of our point of occurrence. No good condition. Unstable with the use of a knuckle holding jig. As you can see at the bottom of the stand, there's no jig there, which leaves the A-arm open to fall open on torque checks. Hand it over to Marie.
Thank you, Amanda. Step 3, setting a target. The first graph shows the current knuckle assembly from falling during castle nut toggle. The current situation is 2, and the ideal situation is 0 with 100% reduction. The overall impact to torque team safety incidents, the current situation is 2, and the target is 0 at 100% reduction. The target is to eliminate knuckle assembly from falling during castle nut toggle by October 2021. Next up, Izzy.
Thank you, Marie. All right, number 4, analyze the root cause. All right, so we analyzed the root cause, and as we did so, we eliminated man, method, material, and environment. And we eliminated those as potential root causes and came to the conclusion that machine would guide us towards the actual root cause. So what happened was the knuckle assembly fell off during the torque check on a 4x2. And with that, why? Because the force of the castle nut toggle pushed the lower A-arm back. Why? Because the holding jig was not in the correct location. Why? Because the jig did not have a feature to lock it into place. This is the video. I was the actual team member that this happened to, and if we can go ahead and roll the video. Initially, I do take the torque check, and then next up is I have to toggle to allow the cotter pin to have a path. If you look right here, the holding jig falls as I'm trying to toggle. Team member comes over, team leaders do come, and they do try to help. This is the point of occurrence, and I'll be handing this off to Eddie.
Thank you, Israel. Next, we have step 5, developing countermeasures. Using the countermeasure selection matrix, we came up with 4 proposed. The first one being calling team leader over to toggle the castle nut after checks for a score of 15. The second one was torquing the lower ball joint on frame 1, still needing to check the castle nut on axle line for a score of 17. The third one was removing spacer washers from the jig for a score of 19. And the fourth one was to create a jig to keep the knuckle holder in place for a score of 23. Implemented a short-term countermeasure for 1 and 2 prior to the long-term countermeasure implementation, 3 and 4. On the next slide, we show the original process. Here's the jig that we use on the original process to keep the knuckle from rotating right and left. On the new process, here's the new jig that was made to lock in the knuckle arm in place to keep it from opening up, and still using the wedge jig in the process. And now I'll pass it over to Eric.
Thank you, Eddie. Step 6, see countermeasures through. Action plan. Number 1, call team lead over to toggle castle nut after checks. The axle team lead, the Route 5 torque team member, was from June to August. The transfer risk to the team lead. Number 2, check lower ball joints on frame 1. That was Route 5 torque team member from June to end of July. That did not address the castle nut issue. Number 3 was remove washers from jigs, axle line. That's from the end of June to the end of August. And then number 4 was create jig to help the holders in place. Myself, Amanda, and Kaizen came up with this jig. This took place from June to the end of September. We're complete. On here you can see the good condition stable with the use of the new knuckle holding jig. You see the jig on the bottom. You no longer see the arm moving back and forth. On top, it is a stable jig. I now hand it over to Murray.
Thank you, Eric. Step 7, monitor results. Target, 0 knuckle assemblies from falling during castle nut, toggle by October 2021. The target was achieved with 0 incidents since October 21. But wait, there's more. Production further Kaizen the new jig to improve quality, which is seen in this screen. Next, I will pass it on to Stephen.
Thank you, Murray. For step number 8, we had standardized the process. The standard work update that we performed was for both castle nuts left and right hand. The key steps that we added were previously ensure torque is within spec range, careful not to mutilate, and the key step that we added was must use holding jig to prevent knuckle from falling, as you can see in this picture here. Now I'd like to hand it over to Alex.
Great, thank you, Stephen. So as you can see, take a look at our level assessment and planning table. We utilize the checkpoints here. At the beginning of our QC circle activity, we rate ourselves at the lower D zone. And then as we're developing through the QC circle and understanding the steps to the process, towards the end, we rated ourselves again and established that we're at a lower C zone. So we made an increase from a D to a C zone with our learning steps. So that about wraps it up. But before we do, let me show a hands on who learned something from this project. Wow, everybody. Hey, Eric, why don't you share with us what you learned?
Sure. I learned to be more open-minded to collaborating with others. Before, I would just jump in a project and just do trial and error. Sometimes it would take days or whatever. So I learned by collaborating with others to get their ideas and get their info that it makes it for a smoother and faster process.
All right, great, Eric. Thank you. Amanda, please share with us what you learned.
Of course. I was able to learn how to go through the 8-step process of solving an issue to keep our environment a safe working area, not just for individuals, but the whole team.
Great, thank you, Amanda. But wait, there's more. Izzy, please share with us.
Thank you, Alex. I learned that here at Toyota, Texas, safety really is priority one. At the point of occurrence, I had team members and team leaders help get the axle back to where it needed to be. And as soon as we decided we were doing a QC circle, we knew that this is where we needed to attack because it is a safety issue and we want to prevent any future occurrences. There were plenty of minds that helped make sure that this issue never happened again.
Awesome. Thank you, Izzy. At this time, we'd like to wrap it up and open it up for Q&A.